Their intention was to subvert the SNP. This is sensible, innit? Their intention was to subvert the SNP. This is sensible, innit?
He's doing a pretty good job.
This is sensible, innit?
He's doing a pretty good job.
I'm actually not laughing.
He's had to mute himself because he can't stop laughing in between.
I'm actually not laughing.
This is sensible, innit?
He's doing a pretty good job.
It resonates greatly within me.
This is sensible, innit?
He's doing a pretty good job.
I'm actually not laughing.
He's had to mute himself because he can't stop laughing in between.
I'm actually not laughing. It resonates greatly within me.
This is sensible, innit?
He's doing a pretty good job.
I'm actually not laughing. It resonates greatly within me.
He's doing a pretty good job. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Please delete as applicable because the internet is indeed worldwide and time zones are still a thing. Can I get an audio check in the chat, please? With no further ado, I will introduce my two very good friends, DJ Resisting the Lies and Send Some Communion. DJ, what about you, chum?
Well, like, I'm back again, eh? This is my second stream of the night, or the day, even, I should say. But there's a stark contrast between my previous appearance and the one now, and that is the amount of sunlight that I've had to endure since then, and the clamminess is very much intensified.
Where were you streaming earlier, mate?
It was on my channel with Scotsman.
On your channel?
And Scott Webb jump on as well,
Right.
But,
people, you've all heard that. There's new content on DJ's channel. So after this, if you're at a loose end or tomorrow, get yourself over and have a listen or a watch.
Yeah, I will say it sort of started off exactly how I intended it to go, but as sometimes occurs on streams, it sort of derailed itself with tangents and whatnot. So in hindsight, could have been structured a bit better, but what can you do? But aye, hello.
Sansom, what about you, chum?
Hello, lads. Hope you're doing well. Sorry I was a bit late in the back room there. I do apologise. I was having a little chat with Bonnie Lad because obviously I haven't spoken to him for a little while, so I do apologise for that. But it was great to see
That's unacceptable, mate.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Fucking very unprofessional.
Look, right. All I'm saying is, when you've got sirloin steak like 42, Bonnie Lad and Toffee, you pay them the time attention. When we're talking about a bit of bloody scrag end like you know, it's a little bit different, shall we say? Do you know what I
mean? Shots fired already, eh?
Yeah.
A couple of beers, and he thinks he's a hard man, eh?
I tell you what, right? I tell you what. I thought because there was going to be 3 people on, I thought, oh, this is going to be mint. I'm going to be able to enjoy a bag of crisps, have a few beers and whatnot. I've had a couple, but only a couple. But I'm going to have a couple more now, by the way. So fuck you. And but actually no, because when the other guys were talking, I was in the chat interacting with folk, which is what I always try to do when I get a chance. But you know, because obviously, you know, the masses of fans that I have, you know, it's like I am the Neil Oliver after party. But anyway, I'll tell you what I'll do, because I didn't send it to 42. I didn't get into late. I was a little, well, I tell a lie. I was enjoying myself, basically. I was visiting family. And, you know, when you're enjoying yourself, you say, oh, I really should leave now. And it's like, no, fuck it. Because I wasn't driving either, so, yeah. No. So I got in at sort of like 7:40, and then I put the bits and bobs together. And I didn't have a chance to pass on the show notes, shall we say. So in other words, who's doing what over the weeks at 42. So I'll do him the privilege of the decency, sorry, because I didn't pass them on to you. I'll say it now. So tomorrow over on Ragnar Ironspear's channel at the later time, of 8 p.m. DJ, keep an eye on this one. 8 p.m. mate, DJ. Yeah.
Stream
Rags and
cut.
Chat will be having Rags and Chat will be having a monthly roundup with special guest Matt the Angry Bootneck. Then stream cooking at 8:30. Stream cooking. Scott's Armour is back with Sunday with the lads with their second chair DJ. Yes,
You'd be
the one
very
and only
unprofessional
DJ.
again. Very unprofessional again. There's no Sunday with the lads tomorrow. That starts not till like the 9th of July. No. Very unprofessional. What is going on here? Like, you're not
Well,
paid
hold on a minute.
to
When was?
spew out misinformation live on air.
Oh,
Right?
I thought it was. I thought it was. But anyway.
No,
Well,
no.
in that
Again,
case,
what? Unprofessional. The standards on this stream are dropping. I'm just saying.
I got a notification though. Does that not mean it was for tomorrow?
Well, if it's tomorrow, then it's the first I've heard that.
No, it won't be, mate. You're probably right. It's just YouTube
just
being
typical
YouTube.
of you, isn't it?
Oh well, in that case, there is no stream tomorrow with Scott's Armour, and Ragnar Iron-Spear isn't going to get stream cooked. So tomorrow at 8 p.m, you've got Ragnar Iron-Spear, Jack London, and Matt the Angry Bootneck, and they're going to be on for 4 fucking hours because there is no after party stream with Scott's Armour DJ. And third chair, the one and only Clive Maxwell, Ignatius Llewellyn Chance the third. You're going to miss out. And I will say this, we always say it, is that our good friend John Davidson would ordinarily be streaming on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Fridays. He's a little bit poorly at the moment. He seemed okay a little bit earlier on, but, you know, the number of times I've had, especially when it's like chesty coughs and stuff, and you think, oh, yeah, I'm over that now. And then, boof, you get a second wave. So, like I say, you know, John's just having a bit of a rest. You know, he's not a spring chicken. He'd admit that himself. John, the main focus is you get yourself pulled together, mate. Get whatever the antibios or whatever, get them into your system, and you come back fighting strong. I've no doubt in my mind. So, yeah, God bless you, John. So ordinarily you would be streaming, but just play it by ear. And if you see a stream pop up, then please keep an eye out for it and give him some support. So. With that said, 42, well, I'm back to yourself, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, a couple of bits I would like to add that. First off, a very warm welcome to anybody that came along from Sansom Stream earlier. You're very welcome. And if anybody has managed to make it in here that doesn't normally watch that stream, if you're free early on a Saturday night, if you like that stuff, you're going to like that stuff, get yourself on there. I have a couple of channel announcements that I need to make. First off, the big one. Next Saturday, the 1st of July, there will be no stream. Emma G and I will be on holiday on a very, very fancy boat, sailing about Loch Earn. So there'll be no stream next Saturday. And
well, mate, while you're there, get me a green fee for the golf course while you're there, bud. Yeah.
See, you can't actually play golf on water.
No, I'm on the golf course, mate.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know if there is a golf course handy. If there is, I'll get you a green fee.
No, mate, there is a golf course there. It's hosted the Irish Open several times. It's a fantastic course. Yeah.
Ah, right. Yes.
It's a bit pricey, but I'm worth it, mate, you know.
Yeah, would that be in like some big fancy country house hotel type spa place?
Well, I hope so. I don't go. I don't rough it. I don't do glamping. I do glamping. I don't do camping. So.
Yep. So I've got that. The other thing I want to say is Saturday, the 15th of July, Al Max coming back on for the follow-up of our conversation. We'll do the rest of his stuff about being on the road and stuff. So that should all be good. Rags, you're from here. You know Portrush is nowhere near Enniskillen, chum. They're very, very far away. Royal Portrush is nowhere near Enniskillen.
No, that's up in what's it called?
The Causeway Coast.
Yeah, it's the what's it? Not Angus. I was going to say Antrim, the Antrim coastline, isn't it?
Portrush. It is, yes.
Yeah. Another fantastic golf course, but also down in Newcastle, is a fantastic County Down, Royal County Down. That's a beautiful golf course as well.
Rex is trying to claim. Oh fuck! Rex is trying to claim the fact that he doesn't know anything about golf has fucked up his geography.
Do you know something like this? And I'll tell you this now, right? This is going completely off a tangent, yeah.
Yep.
In my lifetime, the only reason why I got into, I'll tell you now, right? I wasn't somebody who always into golf. Never played the fucking thing till 2002, and I was what was called a weekend warrior, because obviously you go chasing the dollar, as it were, and it was never anywhere near to where you were. So you had to go far ahead. So I was literally up and down the length and breadth of the country for too fucking long. You know, it got a bit dry, shall we say? But 2002 was the year. It was the World Cup when it was being held in South Korea and Japan. That was the Japan sort of 2002 World Cup. And when I had digs in this gaff, on the way back to the digs, and it was like, you know, pretty fucking quiet. It was lovely, actually. It was really lovely. It was the kind of place where you could go back to the digs, because it was actually a pub and B&B at the same time. And I used to love going back to this pub and B&B, and I won't dox myself by saying what it was, but it was a lovely sort of country-run little thing. But it was now else there. But it was a great place, especially this kind of weather we get in at the moment, summer, where you literally could go back. And I didn't have the devices and shit like that weren't a fucking thing. So I did used to enjoy getting the old golf magazines and whatnot, you know. So I used to go back, and I used to sort of either sit in the bar with the lads, like having a bit chin on, but I'd have me, you know, reading on fucking shit, basically, just any old shit, because I did become addicted to golf. But anyway, 2002, the footy was on, so I used to drive past this place where they had one of these big screen, you know, the big projector screen type things on. So I used to go in there and watch the footy, and then go to the digs. And when the footy finished, the cricket was on, and I think it might have even been an Ashes. I'm not sure, but it was the summer season. And when that finished, I sort of happened to look around, and because I think it was down to like Hungarian tiddlywinks or something by then on Sky Sports. You know, when I used to watch Sky Sports, and I looked over to me right, and I saw this thing like these people doing some shit, and I thought, what the fuck is that? That looks interesting. And it was a golf driving range. So I thought, I'll have a bit of that then. So I went into this the pro shop, and I said, see these idiots here in these golf balls? Yeah, how would I have a go at that then? Well, have you got a golf club? Well, no, I've never even done it before in my fucking life. What do I need to do? Well, I can loan you one for like £3, or I can sell you one for £7. Oh yeah, go on, sell us one, then I'll have a one. So he gave me a 7-iron. I says, more about the old bars. He says, well, you can have a big one. What was it? A small token £2, which is 40 balls, and a big token's £4 for 100 balls. Well, give me a big token. I took it out onto the range, and I must have gone through those balls in like 3 minutes. I went back. I said, give me some more, because this fucking club's not working. Yeah. so that's how it all started. But to cut a long story short, I got the bug on the old golf. You know, I wished I'd taken it up as a teenager. If you've got any kids, you know, get them into the old golf. It's a wonderful sport and hobby, because believe you can do it with friends, but you can also do it on your own. It's a bit like fishing. You're not constrained by having a load of people. Like, you know, you need 11 people playing a football game or some shit like that. Do you know what I mean? But anyway,
have you ever rocked up your driving range with a baseball bat?
No,
never. I took a baseball bat up and hit the balls with a bat.
Yeah, I have been to batting cages in America though. That was good fun. I tell you what. If you were half useful as a kid at something like cricket or rounders, because we used to play rounders. Yeah, I know it's a girls' sport, but the boys the boys in when I was in the juniors, when we used to play the old rounders, we used to play against the girls' team because we were better, but not much. It was a close run thing because the girls' team were pretty handy. But our girls' team, because they were the competition that they had to play against, wasn't other girls, it was us. Yeah, they used to win everything. They won absolutely fucking everything. It was the same with netball. I used to play netball, and I'll say that quite happily, because we used to play against the girls, and it was a close run thing. You know, it used to be half-halves. You know, they'd beat us or we'd beat them. But they literally would fucking trounce the competition in the county. We used to fucking annihilate them. Yeah. My proud heritage of Stoke there. But yeah, so when I got the bug and we'd be working up and down the country, because there was pretty much fuck all else to do of an evening or whenever, I used to, especially in the summer, I used to just visit different courses. And I met so many great people and people around the Scotland. I've not Wales, unfortunately, but the length and breadth of England, Scotland, even in Northern Ireland, I got to meet so many great people just through golf. You know, it wasn't through work. It was just people who you were sat in a bar. You'd played 9 holes or 18 holes at some course, and you were sat in the bar, and the locals would say, "Oh, you know, we've not seen you here before. I'm just down here working. Oh, well, if you want a round, we'll sign you in. You know, half price green fees, that kind of shit." So I basically had played golf in pretty much all the counties, particularly in England as well, you know, and it came in great use because when I was driving back, I used to have one of these really old fucking GPS systems that was shit. I mean, it knew the roads, but it didn't know anything fucking about the roads. It was terrible. So it would drive you where you wanted to go. And it only knew things like petrol stations, hospitals, hotels, and golf courses, amazingly enough. So if I was in some nasty fucking horrendous fucking traffic on my, 8 counties run, which used to literally be a thing, I used to think, oh, this is going to be mental. However, I know that if I go here and then go here and then go here and then go here to there, I can bypass all of this shit. So what I used to do is I used to navigate the country via golf courses. So I used to say, like, right, well, I'm here. If I head towards this golf course, I can pick up this road here and then head for a bit further north. And if that's fucked, I can go to this golf course here. So I literally, and the reason why that sticks in my mind, there was a film from years ago called Bat 21 with Gene Hackman and Danny Glover. And he did a similar sort of thing where he basically planned his escape away from the Khmer Rouge in Vietnam by plotting it via golf courses.
Oh, that was a real event. That was a pilot in the Vietnam War that was downed, and they took a chopper up and spoke to him through the radio, and in order that they could tell him what direction to go to avoid where the Viet Cong were.
The code was because this bloke, because Gene Hackman was the bloke who was behind enemy lines. He was the colonel, or he was a high-ranking officer, yeah. And obviously, he was mustered on his golf. So they would say, it's the 4th. Where you are now is the 4th at Pebble Beach, yeah. And you need to head towards the 17th tee. Because he knew that, and it was really, really clever how they did it. But I literally navigated the country avoiding traffic traps and hotspots via golf courses. Sorry about that interjection, chat. I'm sorry if you got bored, Rigid, but I just thought I'd share.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Nah. Which of this month's weird stories are we wanting to start with? Because there's quite a bit has went into the group chat.
I don't know how much of which I sent this month, in all honesty, but as I said before we went live, I'm kind of not going to hijack the stream as I have a tendency to do. As long as I can at some point share the cringe I found today, I'll be quite satisfied with proceedings. So, to be honest. So, I don't know if you want to do that first or if you want to fire up one of the things that you see. There I am again, trying to hijack the stream.
We'll leave your rant for a bit. What about we go with the school children identifying as cats?
Right, yeah. That might be a good place to start. Like,
Right. I get this. I think I need to zoom us in a little. Zoom in. Right, back to StreamYard. Present. Share screen. Share screen. Here we go. How's this looking size-wise on the screen? Or does that
Aye.
need zoomed? Is that okay, or does it need zoomed?
It's all right at my end, like, but I suppose you could get away with zooming it a bit more if you want.
Right.
There you go.
Right. Britain's toughest head teacher. This is a school teacher in North London. Her school does very well in exams and has it doesn't have the knife problems that other schools have and all, because she's basically strict as fuck. She's done away with group learning. She has the kids all in rows facing the blackboard with the teacher teaching. You know the way it was whenever we went to school. But Britain's toughest teacher has warned that school children who identify as cats are wearing tails and ears pinned to their clothes in class. Catherine Burroughs said that adult authority is long gone in some schools, despite them playing vital and crucial roles in shaping children's future. It comes after an uproar over a school in East Sussex where a 13-year-old girl was labelled despicable by a teacher for not accepting her classmate's identity as a cat. Miss Berger, the founder and head teacher of the ultra-strict Michaela School in northwest London, said people had no idea just how bad things are in schools. Speaking at NatCon conference about the future of conservatism last month, she said, "Do you know that some kids identify as furries? Elon Musk is correct. You all have no idea how bad things have got in school. You just ignore the vital and crucial roles schools play in shaping society culture." There are kids right now in some schools with tails and ears pinned to their heads and bottoms. This isn't fancy dress. They identify as cats, you see. Kids aren't allowed to wear trainers to school, but they are allowed to wear ears and tails because of their chosen identity. That's how they feel they belong. Adult authority is long gone. Her comments come after a teacher in Ray College, East Sussex, branded a pupil despicable after she refused to accept a classmate that identifies as a cat. Now it is understood the Education Secretary, Gillian Keegan, has weighed in the row and ordered an investigation into the school. Yesterday, the Telegraph reported that other school teachers are allowing children to identify as horses, dinosaurs, and even moons. At a state secondary school in Wales, one student is said to meow when asked questions by a teacher rather than answering in English. On Tuesday, Downing Street told head teachers that they should not be teaching children that they can identify as cats or other animals. A source close to Miss Keegan told the newspaper, "Teachers should not be teaching contested ideology as fact. They must have due regard to safeguarding if a pupil identifies as an animal." The Telegraph reports that she has ordered the Department of Education's regional director for South East to visit Rye College and investigate whether pupils' safety has been put at risk. On Tuesday, a spokesman. Sorry,
Fred, if it's no sense in it's you and this unprofessional attitude that you paid him atop the title and stream, like, I find it fucking despicable. I'll tell you this, like, you know what I mean? I would never have this sort of shit show occur if I was with Clive and Scott's Armour. Get up together, eh?
Yeah,
Like, come
well,
on, lad.
To be fair, you will have noticed that an alarm goes off on my phone at 11 p.m.
Well,
every
do you know,
evening.
no, I'm not having it. Like, you should be more prepared, eh?
Yeah, well, I can normally find the phone. I can normally find it and silence it after a bar or two, but it was fucking hiding behind the computer. Anyway, a source close. Yep. The Telegraph report says that she ordered the Department of Education's regional director for the South East to visit Rye College and investigate whether people's safety is being put at risk. On Tuesday, a spokesman for Rishi Sunak said children should not be taught contested opinions as fact. They said that they should not be influenced by the personal views of teachers when discussing transgender issues. He said it is important that parents and carers are reassured that children aren't being influenced by personal views of those teaching them. Any example that strays from this would be wrong, and he would expect head teachers to act. The mother of one of the girls hit back, saying, "I'm so proud of my daughter. She will always stand up for what she believes is right," and that is all she did. She expressed a view that many of her classmates and the parents would share, yet she was shouted down and bullied by someone in authority. She continued, for the teacher to tell her to leave and go to another school if she didn't like what she was being told, made my blood boil. What kind of welcome is that for a 13-year-old girl? The mother, who asked to remain anonymous, told Mail Online that her daughter and her friend put their views across the clashed with another girl in the class who identifies as Cat. My daughter told the teacher that what they were learning was ridiculous, and the girl identifying as a Cat tried to argue that it wasn't and that anyone could identify as anything. She said that my daughter replied, "So if I identify as a kangaroo, then I can say I'm a kangaroo." Some of the others in the class started laughing, and the girl who thinks she's a cat started crying. My daughter and her friend were told to stay after the class and were given a warning to stop and toe the line. The teacher claimed that she would report the girl 13 to school leaders after a row sparked by the students questioning her fellow pupils' identity. The argument took place on Friday afternoon in a class on life education where students were told that who you want to be and how you identify is up to you. One student asked a classmate, "How can you identify as a cat when you're a girl?" During the row, of which an audio recording was made, the teachers heard to say, "How dare you? You've just really upset someone by questioning their identity." Parents reacted angrily, with some criticising the teacher for appearing to shut down the classroom debate. A spokesman for Royal College said, "We are committed to offering our pupils an inclusive education. Teachers endeavour to ensure that pupils' views are listened to and encourage them to ask and engage in discussion. Teachers also aim to answer their questions sensitively and honestly. We strive to uphold the highest standards across the school. We will be reviewing our processes and working with the relevant individuals to ensure such events do not take place in the future." What do you think, lads?
You know, the girl who identifies as a cat is more or less not wrong in the sense that you can effectively, by their logic, identify as anything. I mean, they've opened Pandora's box by separating sex and gender and insisting that anybody can identify as however they wish. There's a myriad of different gender identities to choose from, etc., etc. They can't then, after they've broken the fourth wall, determine what is and what isn't reality, or what is or what isn't acceptable. Once they, as I say, break the fourth wall and blur the lines between reality and abnormality, then all bets are off. So effectively, that child can identify as a cat. Who are they to determine whether or not that's allowed or correct or wrong? They're not. They've bent the rules already. The reality of the matter is, and I mean, this fucking, like, with the last Sunday with the lads that we were on, we played that recording, and it was pretty heinous to listen to, in all honesty. And it was like the teacher just reminds me of, and it's just the same all the time. They don't sound like they are in any shape or form educated. They just sound like they've scraped by the qualifications to become a teacher, and they're not actually teaching. They're not in these positions to do what teachers once upon a time were there to do. All they're really there to do is parrot narratives, parrot ideologies, parrot political concepts, more or less. And gender identity and all that entails is absolutely nothing short of a political ideology, you know? So I don't know. This story is just, the cat stuff is just nonsense. I mean, as I say, they've bent the rules. They can't then say what is and what isn't acceptable. They fucked that up when they started to say that anybody can identify however they wish. you know. But it was even that Peter Tatchell. How the hell he's got a platform to spout off his shit when there's some question marks hanging over his head is beyond me. But he was on Piers Morgan's Talk TV show or whatever. I seen the clip on YouTube a few days ago. Piers Morgan kept asking him the question of where do we draw the line? How many gender identities is there, etc., etc. And Peter Tatchell was saying, "No, but you know, sex and gender are different. This is all they've got. They just parrot the same stuff. Oh, sex and gender are different. Okay, well, if you believe that, how many gender identities are there? Oh, it's infinite, right?" And then then Pierce would say, "Okay, well, if you think it's infinite, then where do we draw the line?" He's like, "Oh, well, they don't know what to say. They don't have a fucking clue what to say." And this is because, as I said, they've opened Pandora's box. You know, if they can't even get their ideology and their lore correct, then how do they expect children to get it correct?
Samson?
Well, for me, right, I reckon this has got to be one of the biggest dodges ever when it comes to, examinations. Yeah. So I identify as a cat. Okay, then. So, I was looking on your paper here, this really fucking, separate the wood from, the wheat from the chaff mathematics question. And, you got 0 on that one. Oh, well, I'm surprised that because I did say meow. Right, okay. And what does that mean? Well, it means the correct answer. Right, okay. Can you prove that on the board? No, because I haven't got the opposable thumbs. I'm a cat. You know what I mean? It's like the greatest dodge ever. I mean, the fact that the teacher is, in this instance here, it is the teacher that is clearly at fault. Yeah, because, the teacher, even tolerating this bullshittery, is unbelievable. And I saw it went even further where, schools, some schools, these fucking imbecilic kids, it's Munchausen syndrome by proxy. I'm sure of it. That the parents that are doing this to the kids are these fucking shit lib fucking Tristram and Jemima types with more fucking money than sense. I'm sure of it. And the kids saying, "Oh, I identify as a cat, so when I go into the fucking toilet, I want a litter tray in there." No,
That's been done in schools.
Yeah. Well, can you imagine? You rock up. You've got the old, gypsy grumble, shall we say? Especially because, like I say, we used to, when I was at school, if you had a school dinner, or when I was at college, we used to have this. It was cracking bit of steak and ale pie, but it was made with lardy dough crust, so it was quite rich. And you used to get the gypsy grumbles, as we called them. About 2:30. Oh, fuck, I've got the gypsy grumbles. So you go steaming to the nearest carsey to sort of flock of sparrows, the nearest trap two sort of thing. And can you imagine, like, you rock up and you go in there, and there's somebody taking a shit in a litter tray. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Well, same as you. Yeah, well, there's a toilet there. I'm a cat. Are you? Fuck me. It's like, where does it end? And I've just, the point I always make is, I today, right now, lads, I'm just going to come out now. I'm coming out of the closet. Yeah. I'm identifying as a billionaire. Yeah. So, guys, tomorrow when I check my bank account, I'm going to be minted. I can feel it. It's just fucking bullshit. And the more that teachers that tolerate this, and who aren't themselves put in mental institutions, then the worse it's going to get.
Well, I've got 2 questions on this. One is, are these children taking the piss? And I would hope that they possibly are. I would hope that there's a possibility that some kids have went, I can see a open door here, and I'm going to walk through it, and I'm going to take this to extremes and tell the teacher that I'm a moon and see where it gets me and see how far down that line I can go before I'm put up on it. But the other thing is, see, whenever she started identifying as a cat, why did the teacher not tell her to get off the furniture? Whenever the cat arrives at school dinners, why they're not giving it a tin of kitty cat. Whenever it goes to pull out its phone, why they'll not go, cats don't use phones, we'll take that to the end of the day. And let it have the reality of being a cat to see if it passes the 5 minutes.
But
here,
one thing that they do is fucking neuter them though. They enjoy that part of it, don't they? These fucking demons in education and society. They like to neuter children. So I suppose in that respect they are keeping in terms with cats.
yeah, but right. Everybody else get at your textbook. Here's a ball of string.
Yeah, but then if you keep going down that route, then theoretically the child who identifies as a cat shouldn't even be in the classroom anyway, because the classroom is for humans. So, or a more grotesque avenue you could go down as cats don't wear clothes. So get your fucking clothes off. Like, how far do you wish to take this hypothetical?
No, I would take this hypothetical as far as it involved a onesie. Yeah, get yourself a onesie on. What we're going to do is we're going to get the caretaker into the corridor with a laser pointer, and you're going to fucking run about on your hands and knees chasing this fucking laser pointer for 3 hours. And by the way, cats don't get tired. And see how soon they decide they want to be a person.
Yeah. I mean, you could be right. It's very possible kids are taking the piss, but on the flip side,
but the other thing is their parents at home. See that PlayStation? Cats don't play PlayStations. Here's a ball of string.
Yeah.
See that phone? No, you don't have a phone. Why are you speaking back to me? Why are you not meowing? Thought you were a cat. Because I think it would last about 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, hard to argue. I mean, when you see adults doing shit like this, it's usually a sexual fetish. So question marks have to be raised as to just why, if it's not hypothetically a piss stick, why any child would be wanting to identify as a cat or a furry, given the the sort of backstory and context that there's a lot of fetishization with people within these fields. Has to be said,
Well, the other thing is where social services not involved.
No, but that was my point there that I was sort of thinking of in my head. It's like, even with the people that fetishize this and whatnot, like adults and stuff, they pick and choose what they want. Like they don't live their life completely as the thing they claim to identify as. They sort of pick and choose as they see fit, and I always found that fucking bizarre in and of itself, where they get to dictate what they will and will not do in their role-playing exercise, which is more or less what it is. Which then the question is it sincere or not? And obviously it's fucking not, more often than not.
It's a massive LARP.
Mm-hmm.
And
apart from the people that are mentally retarded, but they're a minuscule minority.
But the problem is, the other end of this is, why are we having other children indulge in their LARP? Whenever your child arrives at school identifying as a cat, and I will push this as far as boys identifying as girls identifying as boys, all that stuff, I've got a very simple solution. We'll need to talk to your parents, and whenever the parents arrive, bring them in the office. We are fully supportive of your decision, your child's decision to identify as boy, girl, cat, kangaroo, whatever the fuck it is. However, you have brought yourself to the point where you no longer fit into mainstream education. Here's a homeschooling pack. Fuck off, tell your story walking, and all the best.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, and cats shouldn't be in schools, so
this is exactly it, because the particularly there's a lot of this in primary schools where it's girls identifying as boys, boys identifying as girls, and
Yeah.
if that's what that family is fine with, that's all good. But you know what? Say there's 300 other children in that school whose families are not interested in having that conversation with their child because they are children. That child and that family does not get to push those people into that conversation because they feel it is too soon. Just go, yeah, homeschool, off you go homeschool, uh, and let's see how strong your resolve actually is whenever you've got to do this on your own and you don't just get to poke your fucking stupid narrative in the other people's lives.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't disagree, but again, it goes back to the point I made at the start there. Like they've opened Pandora's box because they like in all educational settings, irrespective of how hard or how little it's pushed, it's still commonly accepted now that sex and gender are different, and then that opens the door to a myriad of different gender identities, effectively giving way to the idea that you can identify as however the fuck you want. Therefore, by extension, following that to its sort of logical conclusion, it gives credence to the the ability for people to identify as anything they want, not just a different gender identity. So it's like they've created a grey area in many respects. They've bent reality, they've blurred the lines, and now they're reaping what they sow.
Well, what I will say is, for somewhere between 8 and 10 years, I've been identifying as an attack helicopter. That's what goes on. You know, if I get a new phone and you're filling a form and it goes male, female, other, is attack helicopter on there? No, custom attack helicopter, and that's what I put on as my gender. But never once have I attempted to jump out the fucking bedroom window because I know they won't fly. But there is a plus side to this because every time an attack helicopter gets put on the another drop down menu, along with all the other made up menus, it pisses them the fuck off. Because they're like, attack helicopter, that's just a made up bullshit thing. And I'm like, yes, same as the rest of them.
Yeah. Exactly. And I've thought about it in the past. I've even had discussions at work about this. Like a good idea would be to identify as a pensioner, so I no longer have to work anymore and just get a pension every week. Do you think that would fly?
Oh,
no.
The test case for that's been done. There was there was a man in America who was 67, went to the doctors and got the checkup, and the doctor says, yes, you have got the health profile of an average 50-year-old. Everything's fine with you. And he attempted to get himself identified as 50 because it would help him. It would help him in dating profiles. He would be allowed to go back to work. It would change his tax bracket, all this sort of stuff. And they were told, yeah, no, you can't fuck about with age. Why? Because if we let people fuck about with age, we're going to have 23-year-old trying to draw a pension, and it's going to mess with tax. It's going to mess with finances. That's a no-go. Age is a no-go. So even the people in power, and this was in California or some liberal part of America, like anyway, you know, with liberal judges, with liberal thing that will let pretty much anything fly. So even there is some form of an idea about reality. It depends exactly what it is, whether or not they decide to apply it.
Yeah, which just goes to show they're full of shit. In all honesty, because as I've said a few times, it's they bent reality, the fourth wall, etc. Like, so now all bets are off, but yet it's not consistent because they still get to determine how far you can go with it and what things are acceptable and what things are not acceptable. But if we're supposed to believe that you can identify however the hell you want, then theoretically speaking, I should be able to identify as a man in his 60s or 70s. I should be able to identify as innocent if I happen to be guilty for a crime, etc. I should be able to identify as a penguin if I so choose. But all of these things are
or
unacceptable.
DJ, or a billionaire
Aye.
who's
Oh,
going to make my reality come true.
Oh, this one has been trialed as well.
Okay, now.
Right. I and other people have been to the bank and asked them to withdraw money from the money earned by men account. Because you know, every time the gender pay gap and shit comes around, and they go, men earn X amount of money, women earn X amount of money. Yeah, well, trust me, I've been to the bank, I've checked it out. There is no account for of money earned by men, and you can't just draw that money out. I know you'll be shocked.
Oh, that's my rags to riches story out the window before it's even started. Oh, fuck.
Yeah. No, it can't be done.
I'm under my shock. I don't know, but yeah, to your question you asked earlier on, though, like, do you think these kids are taking a piss? I think there's probably two answers to that. In some instances, yes. In other instances, no. You know, I mean, I know, and albeit it's anecdotal, but my wee cousin, she's just finished school now, but back a few years ago when she was first learning about the different gender identities in school, none of the class really took it seriously. They just thought it was ridiculous. But yet, on the flip side, my mum's pal is an assistant teacher in a school in the city that I live. And on her first day, she was given the lowdown of the script pertaining to all the different things she needed to take into consideration, one of which was that there's a non-binary in the school who is 14 years of age, has to be addressed by the they, their pronouns, and the fucker walks about with a teddy bear, right? Like, this shit wouldn't have been tolerated when I was in school, but now all of a sudden it is. And as well as that, every classroom that she goes into, there's LGBT flags on every single wall. This isn't just designated to Pride Month now. It's every single day. It's of Scottish or academical settings, you know. So naturally, because of that environment, it's going to sort of generate children who are either taking the piss or are fucked up in the head to some degree. You just need to look at the statistics, like, of fucking transgender quote unquote children. That concept in and of itself, they're on the rise. You know, you've got kids identifying as non-binary and whatnot. Before these concepts were introduced to children, they had nothing to base that on. Therefore, before they knew what a non-binary was, none of them would have been non-binary. They have to be presented with these things in order for them to start to question whether or not they might be non-binary, etc. So they're just products of their school environment, in all honesty.
Do the SNP have the same manifesto pledge as the Green Party in Northern Ireland, that every child with no lower age limit should be allowed to choose its own gender?
Children as young as 4 in Scotland, if they so choose, can identify however they want in a school setting.
Yeah, but that means that every 4-year-old has to be taught what they are.
Yeah, and they more or less are. I mean, bear in mind, Scotland, this type of education is enshrined in law. It's mandatory LGBT education for all children in Scotland. First country in the world to do that, by the way, you know, progression. But
I just want to address opinionated Scotsman. Does this mean the male privilege cards aren't real either? Do you remember whenever lockdown started, we had all these queues with people 6 feet apart outside Tesco's and all those other shops? My perfectly good laminated patriarchy club membership card for male privilege did not get me the ability to jump the queue. So I'm thinking not.
If anything, it means you're at the back of the fucking queue.
Yeah, but no, the male privilege cards, they don't work. There's no truth or anything. It just means that you get shit upon from a greater height.
Yeah.
It's total upside down world. everything that they say is everything that they say is supposed to be a privilege and gets better treatment actually gets treated worse. Everything that they say gets treated worse, gets treated better. It's totally round the wrong way.
I mean, I've spent like so more often when I'm like watching stuff that sometimes I clip, sometimes I don't from my channel and that. The amount of times I hear baseless claims made by dickheads in our parliament or activists or whatever, or even teachers making baseless claims that are predicated on nothing other than ideologies, I know, feminism or whatever it is, LGBT stuff. These baseless claims are made repeatedly over and over and over and over and over again, and there's never any pushback. I mean, it's not even just a case of like living in sort of clown world or upside down world. We're living in a world where these people's talking points are generated from ideologies, and these ideologies are presented as factual when none of them are. Like, none of them whatsoever are in any shape or form factual nature, but yet the consensus across the board is that they are, and as a result, policy and whatnot is predicated on the back of it. You know, like representation, and the reason that there's not enough women in parliament is because of oppression and systemic bias, etc. Then, you know, or gays are oppressed and white privilege exists and all this nonsense. And then they've got all of these explanations for why there isn't enough black people that work in B&Q, and they claim it's racism and they claim it's systemic bias and all this shit. And it's presented as fact. It's fucking not fact, you know. So, yeah.
Philip Davis heard so often in the House of Commons and debates and all that women got longer sentences than men, and he heard it that often. That this is going back quite a few years, and he heard it that often that he thought, "Fuck, I want to do something about that." So he contacted the House of Commons library and asked them to present for him the evidence that women get longer sentences than men, so that he could basically put forward a bill to get this changed. And lo and behold, it found that for the same type of crimes across all levels, from minor to very serious, men get a stiffer sentence than women, and men are more likely to be incarcerated. And when men are incarcerated, they're incarcerated for longer. But even after he presented all this evidence and all, it's still being used as a talking point in the House of Commons on a fucking weekly basis.
Yeah, same up here. Like, another example is the gender pay gap. I mean, it's been debunked years ago, but it still gets used. You know, the list is endless of examples for things that these people push as fact when it's not. And it's just absolutely, I mean, it's beyond frustrating at this point listening to it. There was something I was watching earlier on. In fact, I've still got it in another tab, and I only watched about 10 minutes of it, if that. And it was something in the Scottish Parliament that came out. What was the date in that? It was just yesterday. No, 24th of June. It was today it was uploaded. And it's yet another women event in Parliament. And there's this fucking bitch, and that's what she is. Talat Yakub, who I've made videos on in the past. And she created the 50-50 women, no, 50-50 campaign in Scotland. And it states quite clearly in their Twitter description, as well as she states it in her speech, that they want at least 50% of women in Parliament, right? And until such a time, it's inequality, etc. But it's the at least part I find remarkable. So, you know, if it's 60% women, 40% men, that's still classified as progress and or equality. But if it's 60% men and 40% women, that's misogyny, and things need to change, etc. But yet she started the same shit that they always do, parroting the narrative that there's things holding back women, etc. And I'm sat listening to like, this is just fucking nonsense.
Well,
Like, and then she went through the intersectionality chart of like, oh, women of color and disabled women and LGBT women are held back from getting positions in Parliament because of their aforementioned identities, and it's just nonsense. Out of every single white woman in Scotland who's straight, out of every single brown or black woman in Scotland who's straight and or gay or whatever, like, the percentages of all these people who actually wish to go into politics
is fucking minuscule, right? Like, you could break this down and debunk these things, and I might very well do that in a video at some point, because I'm not going to do it justice trying to do it on the top of my head, despite the fact I know what I'm trying to say. But these things could be debunked quite easily using pretty simple logic and a bit of maths. But no, we don't want to do that, because it's easier to present a narrative that everybody who's not a white person who's straight is held back. It's just listening to this shit, and she says it so smugly, so confidently, as if what she's saying is indeed fact, when it couldn't be any further from the truth. Standard.
Well, we still have affirmative action to get more females in the third level education. Whenever currently in the UK and also in America and also in Australia and Canada, it's something like 63% of all third level graduates are female.
I mean, yeah, even in Scotland and in the UK as well, like in general, but I know Scotland anyway. Like, fucking more women are going into higher education and whatnot now than men, but yet there's still some having issue. It's just never ending. It's just I don't know. We could be here all night, fucking.
Right, Sansom, can we bring you back in? Bring us some sanity.
Aye.
Well, the problem is when you try and break things down, when you try to artificially affect what would ordinarily be, meritocracy or natural selection, you pick the terminology, you're always onto a loser, because straight away you've got these demons saying, oh, we need at least 50% women representation. Okay, but what about the BAME quotient then? Because you want 50% BAME. How is that going to work out for you then? Well, we just need 50% BAME men and 50% BAME women. Yeah, but you also want 50% fucking raspberries as well. Well, we'll just... And eventually, at the end of the day, because they are scratching around for, like, any fucker that ticks the boxes that they're after next, you end up with Ocean Gate. Merry Christmas. That's literally what fucking happened. I've been talking about it in the chat there. It was like, this bloke, this Mr. Crushed beyond all fucking forms of recognition now. He was on their virtue signaling saying, yeah, well, I wanted a team that wasn't, just all 50-year-old white men. Oh, you mean the fuckers who actually knew what they were doing? The same fuckers that warned you that, this is not a safe vessel. But you decided to sack the fucker for speaking out and get your diversity hires in. And it even showed you when they were going out on this voyage that ended in disaster. One of the new recruits was this fucking nose-ringed, blue-haired type demon saying, oh, I'm on the Ocean Quest. She was just a fucking... What? Okay, love, where's your engineering degree? I actually studied, fucking human rights and art. That's great, but we're not asking you to draw a picture on the side of the fucking sub. You're here as a fucking, you need to make sure this thing's working. Yeah, I usually leave that to the men. Which men? Well, there aren't any. They're all gone. Well, but he doesn't identify as one. He's now some fucking team person. So the people who you're leaving it to actually make the decision so you can sit there and look pretty, or not actually look pretty, but just fucking be there as a token.
Oh,
People have been either pushed out or fucked off out of any positions of responsibility. And the next thing you hear is, oh, what was that? Well, that happens to be your fucking submarine going implode. Unlucky.
Oh, do you know when that sub did go implode?
Yeah.
Do you know when it was?
Yeah, about an hour and a half into diving, and everybody knew about it, but they thought they'd do a fucking week's worth of bullshit saying, oh they could possibly still be alive. Well, they won't have any water. They could be drinking each other's piss. Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, and what was the other big story that came out during that time?
I don't know. You're going to have to remind me.
The
fact that one of the 50-year-old engineers who was sacked off in 2018 or whatever it was, who warned them of exactly what actually happened.
Hunter Biden's tax case. Hunter Biden has pleaded guilty to tax fraud, and there's currently a big investigation going on into all of that stuff because Hunty was sending messages to people saying, you need to pay me this money now because I'm sitting here with my father. And if you don't get this money paid, you will find out all about you. I'm quoting off the top of my head here, so it's not a quote, but I'm paraphrasing. Him, and you'll find out the power that he and all of his friends have, and my ability to hold a grudge for life. And that's what should have been in the news, while we've been hearing about a sub that was already crushed. So there is that, I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that they sort of ran with that because they didn't want to give any space for the Hunter Biden story.
Well, like I say, it made for very good interference, didn't it, for the Biden story? But even when everybody knows about the Biden story, I mean, Tucker Carlson, he's raking in, was it something like 15 million a night when he does his show? He spoke about that, so people know all about it. But just once again, it's when the narrative doesn't fit, it just doesn't get talked about. And we mentioned that briefly in the previous stream, like the way that how different, the same sort of crimes, if you like, are straw-manned when it comes to the people who shouldn't even be here, but steel-manned when it comes to our own people, if you like. So in other words, matey boy here did X, Y, Z, or it's a bit uncomfortable, hide that in the back pages. This bloke here did something nowhere near as bad, but on a similar vein. Right, front page news, come on, whoop, get it up there. So it's just, it's just, but like I say, this, for me, this is, for me, it's once again, it was played useful obfuscation, but it was pretty obvious. I mean, the other thing as well that sort of tickles me is, this copium they were saying, like, but the reality was when you looked at, well, I don't know if you saw this other story, yeah, and I don't, like I say, I don't want to get people thingy, but the submersible, when the British,
we're over an hour in Sansom, everything will be fine.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you now, right? There was a group that have got a submarine that is designed to go 2 or 3 times deeper than that one, yeah? And we offered support to the Americans saying, because it's in international water, yeah? It's international water. So the rule of the sea in international water is if somebody sends out a distress signal, it doesn't matter if they're your worst fucking enemy. The rule of the sea dictates that you go and help. And we said, right, well, we can be in that area because obviously it left, I think it was at Liverpool it left because it went from Southampton to Liverpool and then Liverpool up to, before it got hit with the iceberg. We can be there within, I think it was like 20 hours or 18 hours or something like that. So, you're still pushing it. They knew, but we offered and we said, look, we can get a vessel there that has got that capability. So anything that stands a chance. And the Yanks said, fuck off, leave it alone. We've got this covered. And the only vessel that the Yanks were going to take wouldn't have got that far. It literally didn't have the depth rating to get down to where these people were. So once again, it literally, just what you're saying, it seemed to be, let's dole this story out while the Hunter Biden thing's going. And then as soon as we're happy that's all been pushed under the carpet, it popped like an hour and a half after it fucking went down. Cheers.
But see, by the time the British were offering that, they knew it was fucked anyway, so they could do what they want with. It might have made a difference if they had still thought that there was a possibility of people being alive down there. Their ability to turn down the British would have been, they wouldn't have been able to do it. But because they knew there was nobody alive, then they were like, yeah, no, we can just play this whatever we want. And once more
Well,
people
what we need, all I will say is anybody who wants to take on this kind of expedition in the future, you know, if you're one of these billionaires with too much money, just make sure that you employ a lot more, you know, transgender underwater basket weavers, because they are clearly the skills you need.
Yeah. Oh, and of course, whenever we're talking about Titanic, full disclosure, that boat was fine whenever it left here. Here being East Belfast, the shipyard where we built it. It was
Do
fine
you
when
know
it left
something?
here.
Do you know something? 42. They were. Do you know what? Some scurrilous types, because it was a riveted ship. My family up here in the northeast, they were the shipbuilders where riveted ships, before the Liberty ships, which were welded ships, came on the market. All ships were riveted, and they made great ships. And you know what some people said? That your Irish iron had too much pig in it, mate. Do you know what that means? Too much pig. Had too much pig
Yes.
in it. Which was lies, but you know, it makes a good story.
Yeah. Well, the probability is, while it was fine while it left here, it was also on fire. No, one of the coal scuttles where, you know, where they keep all the coal for firing the engines.
The bunker, yeah.
There was a bunker that may have been on. Actually, I think it went on fire about Southampton. Also, but
Yeah, that'll have been some scally from the south chucking a dog end into the coal twat.
Yeah. Yeah, Admin's just said that as well in the chat. Yeah. Yes, Belfast, yeah, it was small fire, nothing. Definitely didn't weaken that bit of the ship that got hit by the iceberg. Definitely nothing to do with us. It was fine. Oh. But there you go. DJ, do you want to do your Scottish bit now?
Well, I have to warn you, this wee clip here is fucking cringe. So, the SNP had their conference thing today, but it wasn't like the usual sort of party conference that you would expect to see. It was a conference or an event even that was simply about independence, right? And I'm not going to sit here and get bogged down on the ins and outs of why every single mention of the word independence that is uttered from these wet wipes and these LARPing cunts, pardon my French, not sorry, who call themselves nationalists, or they're branded as nationalists. They don't actually call themselves nationalists. Anybody that says independence, they're full of shit. Well, we all know that, right? But they brought on wet wipe after fickle, after non-entity, after just, you know, the usual shit that you would expect the SNP. But then there was this guy, and yeah, I don't know what to say, to be quite honest. So I'm gonna share my screen. This guy really just stole the show, in all honesty. A beautiful brown man, a new Scot. And yeah, I'll mute when the screen shares. Okay.
And Dundee is the city of discovery. We had very good discussion, talks, and nice speeches. But I'm here to tell you my own personal experience. Being proudly Asian Scot, when I wake up in the morning, what I do, putting up the right people on the right place, like that. When I wake up in the morning, I look at my wee boys, And I asked them, stronger for? And the Daddy Scotland. So this is the reminder we have to start from our own families, from our own doorstep. And I can assure you, Keith Brown and SNP, the ethnic minorities are working shoulder to shoulder with you until we get the independent Scotland. I'm not here to talk, no speeches. I know it's so hard, but your energy, I'm very confident today, very energetic after the Hamza speech. I'm more enthusiastic, but with the support of you. How? If my son can say, Daddy, stronger for Scotland, why not you? So now, this is a time in Dundee just to make a witness of this walls, this media, and you can tell, make a witness. We went to the Dundee for the convocation, and then the witnesses are there. I'm gonna say stronger for, and everybody from here, for Scotland, have to say loudly Scotland. So stronger for. Loud. These are not the witnesses. SNP bosses are here. We need to tell some other guys, you know what I'm talking about. We need to tell them we have decided there's no other way until Scotland. Stronger for. Stronger for. I cannot hear from there.
Well,
What do you make of that like?
I've often heard the term Jockanese used to describe a Scottish person speaking fast. However, that is the first time I've ever heard genuine fucking Jockastani. Where the fuck did he get that accent from?
He clearly wasn't born here. Like, you could tell that, and I don't mean just by his phenotype. I mean just by his accent. He wasn't born here, but I think he's probably lived here maybe like 10, 15 years or something. He's got a bit of a twang, but you can most certainly tell that he is of migrant stock.
Yeah,
in terms of where he was born.
It's fluent Jockistan.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to get worse because I haven't watched all of Hamza McYusuf, our Brown First Minister's speech, but I wanted to play a totty bit of that just to sort of showcase the sort of level of stupidity that we are dealing with currently in Scotland. Arguments can be made back and forth regarding whether or not they'll ever obtain their referendum and their independence, quote unquote, but it just remains to be seen how insufferable things are becoming. But I have to just pose the question: what the fuck is stronger for Scotland? How is any of the things that these people consistently insist are beneficial for Scotland, how is any of it stronger for Scotland? How is any of it making Scotland stronger?
The other question is, did he believe he was talking to a room full of 6-year-olds?
Well, most SNP members have the IQ of a 6-year-old, so yes, probably.
Because he didn't. You're totally right. And it happens every time. They come up with their buzzword, stronger with Scotland. They never describe how, why, where, any detail of what it is that makes it stronger.
Oh, and here's a bit of Hamza for you.
He has a problem with peaches. He really doesn't like them.
Friends, independence works. And there is absolutely no doubt that independence can and will work for Scotland. Never let anyone tell you otherwise. Emulating the success of our neighbours will not happen automatically. But the whole point of independence is to make transformational change by taking power into our own hands.
How are they paying for anything?
Hey,
If they take the power in their own hands and become fully independent, how are they paying for anything?
Well, that's one of the things they love to leave out. Obviously, the UK was a net contributor to the EU. Scotland would be a net beneficiary. Therefore, we wouldn't really be using any of our own wealth. We would be fucking getting wealth. We'd be getting handouts. The argument that they quite often now use, obviously they can't use the oil argument, is our green renewable sector, right? But this is the argument that they push now, that we could be an economic powerhouse and all things
Yeah,
green.
hold on. How would they be taking money from the EU if they're independent?
Because we're going into the EU.
No, but then you're not independent.
Well, I know that. That's what I meant with my wee fucking monologue before I played the first dickhead. Like all the nonsense that they keep talking about regarding independence, like they are either extremely like politically illiterate, which I don't doubt, or they are just deceptive in nature. They cannot honestly stand there at their fucking podium. Well, they do it every week anyway, and constantly spout off nonsense about independence, trying to tug at the heartstrings of patriotic Scots, who I really am off the belief now don't exist, because all I ever see at these independence marches is a bunch of half-wits waving solitaires with EU stars. None of them can think for themselves, and none of them know the definition of independence, nor nationalism for that matter. But they want to leave the UK to rejoin the EU, and every single argument that they make to oppose the UK, the Union, could be applicable to the EU. But yet they do not accept that. They think that they use gay little sentences to describe the EU as the European family of nations, and they make out that every country within the EU is independent. No, they're not. They all have to follow rules or they get their sanctions. Nobody votes for the bureaucrats who pass down the policy. All you do is vote for the dickhead in the European Parliament who has literally no authority. That's all it is.
Right, I got two questions. Well, I've got one question and one observation. The question is, see these saltars with EU stars?
Desecration.
Yeah. Oh, apart from that, does it look similar to the Confederate American flag? Like, do they have the stars along the middle bars?
No.
All right. Okay. Right. So
no, it's the same. It's just a circle of stars that goes
right.
around.
The Kepler circle. I haven't copied the old South. That's okay. That's one thing.
No.
And the observation is, well, while you're looking for truth, honesty, and logic, as our previous story shows, we are now living in a post-truth, honesty, and logic world, because if a girl can be a cat, if a boy can be a girl, if a girl can be a boy, also you can add this in the climate change, none of which is based on science, the man-made climate change. If you can, you've pretty much got everybody, because whenever people start to point out that they're lying and it's obviously wrong, they'll go, oh, shush, 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 shush. Because do you remember whenever you said that boys could be girls? Or do you remember whenever you said carbon dioxide was the problem with the atmosphere? They've got you on a lie somewhere. And once people have accepted that first blatant lie, they can't push for truth on anything without being called out.
Yeah, another example would have given there is, and when we live in a world now where Pakistanis can say they're Scottish, or even better than that, we live in a world where people can say that they are Asian Scots. How can you be an Asian Scot? What is a Scot then? What's a Scot? If you can be an Asian Scot, what am I? Am I a white Scot? Am I a European Scot? Well, there's never actually a definitive description for what I am or people like me. No, but they're Asian Scots or Pakistani Scots. Like, there's so many things wrong with like the two clips I just played there. I would have played a bit more of the hums thing, but start buffering on my end. But this narrative that people can come here or were born here, but they're from a different ethnic makeup or whatever, but they get to call themselves, which is oxymoronic, in this instance, Asian Scots. Like, it's just, it goes back to the last stream we did last month where I was talking about how they're redefining what diaspora means. Because in order to acknowledge that there's a Scottish diaspora, you, by extension, also acknowledge that there's a Scottish people. So they want to redefine diaspora now in order to scrub out the idea and the commonly known fact worldwide that Scottish people exist. Like,
Oh,
away at our national identity bit by bit, and it's deemed as progress. And yet, the mainstream media in this country and across the UK, as well as every single political party, still brandishes these people as nationalists. There is nothing nationalistic about a party who LARP on the independence question to no end, who shoehorn in callous and odious political policies and educational policies in the background while LARPing on the independence question. No nationalist would ever impose on its people critical race theory. No nationalist would ever impose climate change policies on its people. No nationalist would ever eradicate its own fucking country's national identity onto its people. Like, I could go on. The list is more or less endless. This is happening right in front of our faces. And if you say anything about it, you're not only deemed as a white supremacist, but you're deemed as hateful. Like all the usual tropes. But what really pisses me off, and it just helps to sort of cement my belief that the entirety of politics, whether it's politicians themselves, parliamentary settings, or the media, it's all contrived theatre, because there is not one fucking person who opposes the narrative that's been presented by the likes of the SNP who doesn't call them nationalists. Never do I hear them saying, you're not nationalist, you're whatever. No, it's, oh, they're nationalists, the Nats, the Scottish Nats, the nationalists. They're not fucking nationalists. There's nothing nationalistic about this. And that brings me back to what I said there about patriotic Scots, true nationalists. Where are they? They don't exist anymore. The Scottish nationalism of old is gone. What we now see is exactly how the people in power really want it to be, and that is hijacked, gay internationalism that is presented as nationalism to the people because they're happy to soak in as many people into that concept, internationalism, because we know what that fucking means. They fear nationalism. They absolutely fear nationalism, and that's why, in my belief, they're going after nationalism movements across the world and fucking hijacking them and turning them into something completely different.
DJ, are you aware of the work that's being done with historical DNA, where they're picking up Pictish DNA, Highland DNA, comparing it with DNA from people from Ulster down on the island as far as Tara and bits of Wales, where everybody from that group are semi-connected?
Well, I mean, not per se that, but I mean, the majority of Ulster is made up of Scots who lived in Scotland but then moved to Ulster. Like, so there is a connection there. And then the people that aren't of that persuasion are either Irish or are fucking Nordic.
Well, they're Celts.
But we're not really, we're not
Celts are
related.
Vikings.
Scots historically, there was a video I watched a wee while ago, and I didn't just form my conclusion from this video before anybody assumed I did, but the guy kind of worded his points in a better way than I probably could at this time of night. But his argument more or less was that like Scots today, like we are Picts. It's not like the idea that Picts just disappears nonsense. Like, and I'm off that belief. And his argument that he put forth is the Scots, like the term Scots, not like the actual Scots who reside in Scotland, but the term Scots was used to define, like, that's the people that lived in Ireland. That was the Scots.
Well, the actual term was Scoti.
Aye.
SCOTI.
Aye.
Yep. The same peoples, and also down under Wales as well, before the Celts arrived around 500 BC. But there was from approximately 7000 BC to 500 BC, where that's sort of what you had pretty much across Britain and also the Angles.
Well, I don't think the Picts were all across the UK. Like,
well,
no, it was more like the east of Scotland, more so like the islands and whatnot. That was the Scotty like who came over, but they couldn't really penetrate the majority of modern day Scotland because first and foremost there was a fucking mountain range that sort of separated them from the rest of Scotland, but two, they had to contend with Picts. Like Scotland was Pictish. It was called Pictland. Well, that's how the Romans classified it as, you know. But they weren't down in England, I don't believe. That was Angles, or they weren't called Angles back then. But Wales, though, I was more Celtic and whatnot. But no, I don't think the Picts were all across the UK. Like it was just what is modern day Scotland.
Yeah. Sansom, your thoughts?
Well, once again, it's just denying reality. I mean, none of those people on there, you know, I'm taking a very hard view now. I don't think, and this is my opinion, not anybody else's, but I genuinely now, based on the way things are going, I don't know what the solution is. There probably isn't one anymore in reality, but I don't think that Paper Britain should have any fucking say whatsoever in what goes on in our country. I really don't. And I don't give a shit if they're the majority in cities or wherever, you know. This is the whole reason why they've been allowed to annex and enclave huge tracts of cities and towns across the length and breadth of the country, is because they knew that if they ghettoise certain areas, with the ghettoisation process comes power through the voting bloc that they would be attracted just through nothing else, from the, you know, the inherent racial collectivization. You know, we get told that's not a thing. You shouldn't do that because that's bad. When it's our people in our country, but every fucker else does it. So if you go to Tower Hamlets, which is like what, you know, 60, 70% Jamaican, they're going to vote for a fucking Diane Abbott. You know, you do the same at Tottenham, they're going to vote for a fucking David Lammy. Two of the worst politicians, if not people, in the entire country. But who they're going to vote for? Who they're going to vote for? You know, idiot one or idiot two that looks a bit like them, because they know that push comes to shove, they're going to vote their way. Or, you know, Gerald Hetherington Smythe the fourth, who may actually have the best interests of that locale, as in an area, at heart. They'll never vote for him. However, if you're in Tottenham or wherever, so you're not quite in a fallen city yet, but it's getting on the 50-50 boundary, if somebody comes and interviews you and they say, you know, they say to all the schwaz, who, you know, let's say it's somewhere in Yorkshire and it's in a place where it's literally just about going to tip the balance, they'll ask all the schwaz who you'll be voting for. Oh, I'm going to vote for this one. Nothing after that will be said. Oh, right, that's good. Yeah, that's good. You know, you go to a little sort of white enclave or whatever, or local enclave, you know, the indigenous enclave, and who will you be voting for? This, I'm going to vote for him or her. Why are you doing that then? Well, because I agree with them. Well, you know, what would you think about this person here? Yeah, I don't think they represent me. That's because you're a racist, isn't it? What? No, I just don't agree with what they're pushing. You know, fuck them. But if you, like I say, you know, you go to these areas which are fallen areas, and you say to the people that have infected those areas, who are you voting for? I'm voting for the person who most reflects me, who most resembles me. You ask a person, an indigenous person from Britain in a similar area, who are you voting for? Well, I'm going to vote for someone. Oh, you're racist. Yeah, well, I was about fuck you. So, given this, I literally am now saying that, you know, Paper Britain should literally have no fucking say anymore. I don't care if you were born here or not. That's that old terminology that came up in the stream before, and, you know, the horse, you know, dog born in a barn, is it a horse? You know, fuck off. And let's face it, this was a talking point that wasn't even that controversial even in the 80s, because Norman Tebbit said, if you want to see where a people's allegiances are, just look at who they're clapping for at a cricket match. And he was particularly targeting a test match between England and Pakistan. and I think it was either in Edinley or in Edgbaston. It doesn't matter which, because both are fallen cities now, you know, as regards to that respect. And like I say, you know,
Oh, Cricket England had a problem, and probably still have a problem, whereby they're bringing all these youth players up through the ranks, and whenever they get the age of 17, 18, they're like, no, I want to play for India. No, I want to play for Pakistan.
which is fine, you know, fuck them. As long as they take the family and fuck off there to do it, that's fine by me.
But here's the thing. Cricket England have spent 10, 12, 15 years teaching these people cricket, and because they were teaching that person cricket, they don't have people that want to represent England.
Because
Well, all I'll say is
anymore, more or less.
all I'll say is this, right? I would rather have a cricket team, a football team, and anything team. And I'm not really that interested. I do enjoy sport. I used to, for the purity of it, but not anymore. But I would happily have the worst football team in the world, the worst cricket team in the world, the worst everything in the world, if it was made up of proper British people. Yeah, that's the way I look at it. And you know, fuck the bloody, you know, the glitz and the glamour. You know, but once again, like I say, you know, we are spending time and effort and money to bring these people through, and they show their loyalty by fucking off to the other side. And guess what? They'll go over there and they'll get well paid, and they'll be classed as heroes to those nations and whatever. And as soon as the career ends, where do they end up settling? Not fucking Pakistan, not fucking India. They'll be straight back here on the first boat back, millions and minted richer, because they know that they're in a much more stable and conducive environment to their proclivities. Well, I say, fuck you. You're going to do that, you do the whole hog, and you take your fucking family with you. Fuck off.
Sansom, welcome. You're now an honorary member of the Green and White Army. Have you seen how bad our team's playing?
Like I say, as long as it's pretty indigenous, I don't care. You know, like I say, when we had the England women's team who won the World Cup, and it was like the worst thing in the world ever, because there was 11 white women on the team. Yeah, it was like the worst thing in the world ever. Well, what do you want?
We've pretty much 11 white players on the pitch and 7 white players on the substitute bench.
Good.
And one of our main songs is "We're Not Brazil, We're Northern Ireland." It's all the same to me.
Yeah, but the difference is 42. Nobody else in the world can lay claim to having the best footballer in the world ever. And I'll just leave it at that.
Well, this is true. Lived up the street from me, or well, up the road a bit from me. We'll have that anyway. Right, I want to bring around to something that's a bit of a celebration. I know normally about this stage I put on a video, and sort of the running joke is I try to break Sansom with feminism and stuff. But what I want to show you here, because has that come up? It has indeed. Right, get the noise on. Check this out. This is a view from the top of the Carry Hill bonfire. Right, we can take that.
Yeah,
one
I was
off.
going to say, I've heard about that. They burn those fuckers, don't they? It's like someone out of the Wicker Man, only worse.
Right, I'll get a couple of pictures up. Where am I? Dun, 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 dun. I think this is one. Right. Yep. Present. It is currently sitting at 105 feet, which takes it to the new world record. And it's still, there's more to go on the top of that, but it's currently a world record. We have, unfortunately, Guinness are not going to come over and make it official, because that cost $7,000 and reasons and shit. Hold on, where's my other one? There's a better side on picture. Yep, get this shirt. Too many windows up. Right, share screen, window. Yep, this here. Here we go. There's the boys putting her together. What happens is you've got these ones that are put out about every 8 feet or whatnot, because they've got the gullus has a scaffolding, and now they pass them on up to the top, which is, yeah, council really don't have much choice in the matter. Yeah, this is what we do. Although they're not, most bonfires are not as large as this, but Craigie Hill have went nuts, and they have unofficially took the world record for the largest bonfire. Pretty much the last 5 years in a row. I make this a little. Can I zoom this in? I can. Yep. Just chilling out there, moving pallets about. It's fucking class. So there is that.
Pretty impressive, like.
Oh, no, it's pretty exclusive. It's inclusive if you're part of that community. If you live in Carey Hill and Larne, in that area, you're very welcome to come along and help put this thing together. There's videos of kids moving pallets about to get them to the bottom, where the men move them up and up and up and get them to the top. Like, it's a community endeavor. It's inclusive to that community. And
are you sure that? I'm not saying that the thing you're talking about is real, but I've just been that photo. Are you sure that's a real photo? Because the people like at the side look very fake.
Oh
like,
no,
that is
one.
No, do you know what it reminds me of? Like when they're designing a new housing estate or whatever,
Yeah.
and you'll see like a drawing, and it'll have drawn people on the pavements. That's what that looks like.
No, that is genuine.
Maybe it's just the quality of the photo. I don't know. It just looks a bit odd.
I tell you what, the stones on those fuckers, I'd be in bits. Anything like that, I'd be in ribbons. That's really sketchy, isn't it?
Well, here's the interesting bit. These are all pallets, right? So, and you know, like pallets are. So, in order to get from that bottom level to the next one, what you do is you grab one of the bits at the side and climb up the pallets like they are a stairway, basically.
Did you go up a bit? Sorry, wait. I just want to see something quickly. Go up. Sorry. Oh, wait. I'm just looking. No, I was looking in the chart. Somebody said that the third guy down had no head, but
no. What you also can't see from the picture is these ones that jut, these bits that jut out, they aren't actually in a straight line. You can sort of see a bit there that one's offset, that, and then that one's offset. They're staggered, the twist. But it is a genuine photo. What it is not great quality and blown up, which pixelates it to shit and stuff, so it doesn't look as good. But that is 100% a genuine picture.
No, I'm not. I don't know. Like the structure looks real. I don't know. The people look. It's just a weird photo. Like, have you got any other photos? Like any other photo, bar that one, and then you'd probably, But it's just perplexing.
Yeah. I don't have any other photos to hand with people on it, but I will get one. I'll find one for you
Surprised you got
at
one.
some
Is it not a
stage.
video of that on YouTube or something?
Yeah,
Probably is.
yeah. But it's currently sitting at 105 feet high. It goes up on the 11th of July. It's part of what we do in July for the celebrations of the Battle of Boyne and King William and all that sort of stuff. I'm not going to go all into it, but
Yeah.
I just
Will you be
wanted
going,
to.
mate? Just out of interest, will you be going?
I'll not be going. Probably not be going to that one, but I will be going to a bonfire. I haven't missed a. I haven't missed it. 11 night bonfires or 12th of July parade in my life.
Did you see that story? This is going back, well, probably before Christmas, so at least half a year ago, where the local administration council, whatever it is, literally were talking about ripping up the Boyne Bridge in order to put in fucking bus lanes or some shit like that. Oh, outrageous!
Oh,
Outrageous!
they're still going for that.
Fuckers.
I have put in I've put in a return to consultation documents and stuff. Now, the Boyne Bridge, as it is today, is not the original Boyne Bridge. It's been built over. However, the original Boyne Bridge is in the foundations of the current bridge. So what happened is you had an old wooden bridge, and they built a concrete bridge round it, which put the bridge in the same place. And the reason why it's important is it's one of the few places that they know for a fact that King William set off on his horse and crossed with his armies behind him in Belfast. There's very few places that we have 100% proof of this happened there. And that's why the Boyne Bridge is so important historically. So whenever they built the new bridge, which had to be done because the old one was in poor state of repair, it was wooden structure and whatnot, they built the concrete one in such a way that they built it round it.
Yeah.
So it's in.
But it's still significant because it is the actual physical location of where it all took place.
Yep.
So,
and had it been something that was important to Irish nationalism, it would not be fucking touched. They are doing their level-headed best to destroy our history and culture.
Yeah, and let's not forget the fact that the whole reason why William Orange was there was because James II pissed up the fucking second bite of the cherry up the wall again, didn't he, DJ?
Will DJ bite?
Fuck the Royals.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't react to my Twitter in a job post where you were on your Jacobite tours. You missed that comment completely, mate. It was a priceless one as well, but never mind. Jacobite Lake tours. Do you know what I wanted to say? Did you want to? Shall I say what I said?
Go on.
I said it looked like a lovely place to stop and have a nice ice cream, or perhaps even a gelato, because we all know how the Scots love a little Italian melt.
Do you know?
See,
what? Though? Bonnie Prince Charlie was a cunt. So like, I'm with on that. So, but
but we do have a long history of defeating Jacobites.
Yeah, I'm not disputing that fact, but you consider the fact that the Jacobites you speak of were a bunch of cunts who lived in the mountains with kilts. It is more or less. It's not like when they were a heavily
Oh,
armed army, is it? you know.
but James and all his rebel scum that came from France to try to fight the war in Ireland and got turned back at the siege of Derry, they were also Jacobites.
Right.
Your Jacobites up in Scotland are not the only ones.
I didn't say they were, but again,
And
the
they
argument that I made though, like that like the sort of clan culture and whatnot, again goes back to what we were on about earlier on with Scotty and whatnot. The clan culture comes from there, therefore that would make more sense when you're talking about separate sections of Jacobite and whatnot. I don't think I ever said at any point they were the only ones.
I would say that the Scots were used by James and nefarious other people and pulled them into wars at times whenever they shouldn't have been being pulled into wars.
A lot of it goes back historically to religious differences and whatnot as well, But at the end of the day, in the modern era and whatnot, I still stand by the same principle that some of those people back then would have stood by, that I don't see why Scotland or any other nation for that matter should not be legitimately sovereign. Like, it's as a dead concept, it's never going to happen, but like I don't understand why that's something that's deemed as taboo, something that is always, by every facet of the establishment, has been prevented from actually occurring in recent times. And I'm not talking about 2014, I just mean in general. Scotland is forever fucking under the thumb, same way that English people are. We're all under the same thumb of Westminster. But I don't understand why Scotland couldn't be an independent sovereign nation. Many a man bled and died for a cause they believed in, and in many respects, I'm not going to get butthurt at fucking 12, but for you to classify these people as scum could be classed as very disrespectful, and in all honesty, you could say,
Well, whenever I'm talking about James and his rebel scum, I'm talking about the army that he brought across from France. And the reason why I say that is it's in the song.
Okay.
When James and all his rebel scum come up to Bishop's Gate, we fought with heart and hand and shield until they did retreat. It's that's why I tend to class it that way.
Well, do you think that the Scottish Jacobites, and I'm not talking about in support of the Italian cunt because I thought he was a dickhead as well, but do you think that the Scottish Highlanders who fought Culloden were scum?
No.
Good man. Fair enough.
Culloden's not even connected to the time I'm talking about.
Oh, fair enough.
Right, Culloden is a whole total different thing. I think the Highlanders that fought at Culloden were fucking mad.
Oh yeah.
Anybody that takes to the field with claymore swords against rifles, they're never going to win. But
no,
it says a hell of a lot about them that they were prepared to do that. They were it actually says more about whoever it was led them in, because whoever was in charge of that offensive was not thinking of the best, did not have the best intentions of the men that were following behind them.
No.
But they are far, far, far from scum. They were exceedingly brave warriors. I only have a very rudimentary grasp of what happened Culloden, as in Scottish came, fight the English rifles, they had swords, they got massacred. you also have a problem with once you're running at somebody that's holding a rifle with a sword, you're kind of forcing them to shoot it. I don't think they should have been led. I don't think whoever led them in made a major mistake. Although I don't know what else they could have done better with the information at that time, but I do not connect them in any way, shape, or form with the Jacobites that came in 1684, 85, I think, from France over with James.
Hmm.
The only thing they share in common is the term Jacobite.
Aye. Admittedly, it's not really a period I'm familiar with, like what you were on about there. So
Yeah.
obviously, cross wires, but
Yep, they share the term Jacobite, but that's it.
I'm trying to fucking find the guy's name. 2 seconds. There's a guy. I always forget his name. Oh yeah, Dudley Bradstreet. Yeah, I've talked about this before on these streams in the past. We've ended about this subject, but like a big part of the reason that the Jacobites in the Scottish context ended up back at Culloden is because in and amongst the sort of top ranks of that dickhead, Bonnie Prince Charlie was a spy called Dudley Bradstreet, who said that if the Jacobites continued to march down to London, they were going to be met by an army over 10,000 strong men, which was bullshit. So they retreated back up to Culloden, which allowed for the English to regain their troops and whatnot and resources, and then march up to Culloden, in which they then in turn kicked the arse out of the Jacobites, which obviously rendered the end of their cause once and for all. But the argument could be made, and we'll never fucking know, unless alternative timelines really do exist. Even then, we still wouldn't know. Had they continued to march down and not listen to the advice given by said spy, who knows what would have happened there. But the only reason they turned back after making grounds in the first place was because of misinformation from a government operative. You don't hear that. I went to Cologne Battlefield like 2 or 3 months ago with my missus, and like we went through the entirety of the museum and whatnot, and there's not one mention to this fucking guy. Yeah, it's like it's a bit bizarre. Like it's part of history, but yet you leave that part out.
Oh fuck, mate! You think that's good? You go to the Ulster Museum, and this display's probably gone, but Irish history in the Ulster Museum begins at 500 BC.
Really?
Yeah, they've done a timeline of Irish history, and they have from 7,000 BC to 500 BC summed up in the words, "Not much is known about pre-Celtic Ireland," and then they start at 500 BC, and they do the whole fucking everything up. The Celts arriving, the Normans arriving, the becoming Tudor, the plantation, the famine, the raisins, all that sort of stuff. But the 7,000 years building a new Grange, the start of habitation, the original towns and all that. Yeah, no, they're fucking nothing.
Sort of standard, is it not? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same, history's written by the winners, that sort of argument,
Yeah, but apparently we are the winners.
Well. Yeah, but I don't know. Just find it bizarre how certain narratives are presented. This could be applicable to many things historically speaking, but there's certain narratives that are presented as the fact, and children are taught it. You read it in books, you hear it on the TV. It doesn't matter where you look, if you go to museums, etc. But yeah, there's plenty of evidence out there that disputes these narratives. But yeah,
well, the current working definition of truth is a widely held viewpoint, regardless of the facts.
That makes sense.
That's the current working definition of truth. If we had a dictionary that was honest, it would say truth. a widely held opinion, regardless of the facts.
Hmm. Well, we don't live in such a world, though.
No.
Truth is deemed as, well, we live in a world where truth is now classed as subjective. Fact and, it's fact should be the determining factor whether or not something's classed as truthful or not. But facts are ignored more often than not nowadays.
Right. Well, how about we jump from this to a little story about steps at Sansom Santas?
Yeah, steps. Better best forgotten. Whoa, 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 whoa. You know that one. Come on, everybody. Come on, try that.
Actually, I don't.
Yes, you do. You're a liar. Everybody knows Steps. Best band ever in the world ever.
Yeah. Here we go. We've got a picture of them.
Yeah, well, back to that picture there, because I would just like to say, Lisa on the right-hand side is looking absolutely stupendous. I don't know how old these ladies are, but I mean, you've got
That-
Claire on the left, you've got Faye in the middle. Lisa's looking great, really.
that would be the dark-haired one.
Yes, Lisa's looking great. And old H, in fairness, sold bats for the other side boy to her right. He doesn't look too bad either.
No. Steps turned down a show in Dubai over a contract clause which stated that they were not allowed to mention sexuality. Band member Ian H. Watkins has said. He told Chippingham Pride in Wiltshire that it was at a point in his life where morals were more important than a pot of gold gig. I hope he ran past the rest of them before he decided to turn this shit down. Watkins said nobody had known Steps were offered the show in the Middle East, but he said it was important to raise the issue. In an interview with Bobby Pickard, chief executive of Trans in the City,
Oh, God.
what the actual fuck? Trans in the City on Saturday, Watkins said he was emotional that he had not spoken up sooner and wished he had the guts to do so. This week we were offered a gig, a show, and it was in a country where there's lots of oppression, where the LGBTQ plus community is treated so horrendously, he said. And in the contract it said no mention of sexuality, and that really jarred with me. Well, H, I've got one of those opinions. See, whenever you've seen where the gig was, and it's a country where they don't like people like you should have said no at that fucking stage. I'm at a point of my life where now my morals and what I strive for is more important than a pot of gold gig. More important than the pot of gold gig was in Dubai. Well, that should have been enough. You didn't need to get as far as the contract. Mr. Watkins said he gave his reasons for not wanting to perform. It's because of all the horrendous human rights issues that are happening there, he said. Dubai is one of the United Arab Emirates, which has strict laws against homosexuality. No shit. Nearby Qatar, which hosted the 2022 World Cup, has similar rules. It was criticised for its attitude to LGBT people. Here, hold on, you're not being very inclusive. You forgot the QAI people and the pluses. Its human rights record and its treatment of migrant workers. Respecting and backing H's position has shown a fabulous allyship. Is that like a spaceship? Miss Pickard said. They, Steps, have a strong pride community following. Then why were you even considering going to Dubai, you fucking treacherous bastards? And this reinforces the support for the love of their fans. She added she would like to see other artists follow in Steps' example and think twice about performing in places where people in their fan base face imprisonment or the death penalty. Mr. Watkins said he has told the band they were welcome to perform without him, but the band decided to follow his decision. He said, regardless of one's gender, sexuality, or color, people should be able to live their best life and be their authentic selves. Well, H, I've got news for you. See if you don't want your sexuality and trans shit in schools, you don't get to live your best life. It felt like a little win. If everybody did that, all of those ripples would make huge waves, and we will have a much more inclusive and beautiful place to live. Inclusive for who? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how he got past. I don't know why he got past the word Dubai.
Well, you know, it's a tragedy. I wonder if they counted up to 5, 6, 7, 8 in order to make a thing, because it was the story of a heart in the middle of a chain reaction, and some people would say it's best forgotten now.
I don't know if that was puns related to steps or not, because I have got to be honest, I happen to be heterosexual, therefore I don't know anything about steps.
You probably weren't born when they were around anyway.
Well, there's a sort of glaring irony in all this, where he's standing there saying, "Oh, I refuse to go to Dubai because I'm pro-LGBT, I'm standing up for gays," but yet for Dubai in the first place to host a Steps concert reeks of gayness. So, some strange, bizarre sort of, you know.
Yeah,
I tell you now, right? I tell you now,
Dubai
if they paid him a shed load of money, if they paid him a shed load of money, he'd be tap dancing on a camel right fucking now.
Dubai was more accepting of H than H was of Dubai.
Well, yeah, there's that, but I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, you'd have to be gay to attend a Steps concert in the first place. So, like,
yeah, everybody knows it should be down watching S Club 7.
Another bunch of poofs.
That was a joke.
Yeah, but S Club 7 was all right, but they were getting back together, and then one of the group had the audacity to have her for no reason whatsoever clutch her, didn't they? You know, a short illness, you know, a previously unprescribed heart condition. I wonder why.
They upped and died and fucked the comeback for the rest of them.
Yeah, Club 6. Oh, dear. Totally safe and effective. We're not saying anything untoward. Whoever's listening.
Yeah, no medical information.
No. Dr. John Campbell speaks to the truth. That's all I'm saying.
Fucking
Don't
common
go there.
sense
Don't
speaks
you
to the
fucking
truth.
start me off with that cunt. I'm telling you.
Oh, why not? Like, it's all right for you to
get
try
me
and get me agitated about fucking.
I'll tell you what, right?
Bonnie
Every
Prince Charlie.
fucking
Let's hear
day.
about John Campbell for a change. Go on.
Yeah, but Bonnie Prince Charlie was an Italian melt.
Hey, he was a dickhead, we agree, but come on, let's hear about John Campbell.
Well, since he flicked the switch and said to everybody, yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, let's move on. I'm now going to take the piss out of all of the shit that's gone on through this scandemic, including the shit I'm pushing for 18 months. Yeah? It winds me up no fucking end. And his channel's, I mean, he must be knocking on nearly 3 million now. He was 2.2 million when, he built his channel up to a point, I think it was 2.2 or 2.4 million when he flicked the switch and said, yeah, I'm on your side now, guys. Fuck off. Fuck off, cunt. You'll get no forgiveness, you fucker. You know? You may get absolution when you're swinging from that fucking jib, but you'll get no fucking forgiveness, right? And now every single fucking post he does, is, new evidence has come out from, Swedish report on, the secret source isn't good for you. New reports come out on masks didn't work. New report has come out. Yeah, fuck you. You spent 18 months pushing that shit when decent people, ordinary people, were pointing out the fucking discrepancies, and also not just sort of Joe Public like me, but noted scientists who were the head of their fields. And what did you do, John? What did you do, Dr. John fucking nurse, Dr. John Campbell? Don't think for one moment he's a real doctor, because he fucking isn't. He's a nurse. He's got a doctorate, but don't conflate that with him being a fucking medical doctor, because he's not. He's a nurse. So, nurse Dr. John Campbell, all of these people you probably were sucking the cock of up until the point of the sniffle coming out, all of a sudden their opinion's no fucking good anymore. Tell you what, mate, fuck you. Fuck you, and fuck the fucking little stuffed puppy Labrador that you had a mask on all the way through that 18 months. You're an absolute cunt and a fucking disgrace.
Wait, he put a mask on a dog. Or stuffed.
He
puppy.
he had a black, if you know a Labrador puppy, yeah?
Yeah.
He had a stuffed toy Labrador puppy, a black one, sort of like, you know, when Andrex was giving away free stuffed Labrador puppies if you bought so many bloody bog rolls or whatever, yeah? Well, he had one of those. It was a black Labrador puppy doll that he had in his windowsill, and he had it in its little wee nap on all through that 18-month period. Absolute cunt. I really fucking despise the bloke. I really do. I don't give a shit he's turned his tail now. That 18 months of destruction, all on you, fucking John Campbell. If you had any fucking thing about you, you would close your channel down and delete all of your fucking videos prior to fucking February of this year. You utter cunt.
Well, on that note, I've got a rather interesting story. We talked before in this about the street lights that give off no light. Well, this is the next stage. Stormont budget. And last time I looked, Stormont was not sitting. So the budget is being put forward by people that are not there to do their fucking job. But the Department of Infrastructure has published details of plans for a move that would save them around $3 million in energy payments. The TFA said that a complete switch off of all street lights is the only option to make big savings. The detailed plan is revealed in a just published document on the department's website. The department has previously warned that it is facing stark financial challenges and a 14% cut in its day-to-day spending budget compared to last year. It had previously said that the cost of street lighting has more than quadrupled due to increased energy prices. I wonder why the cost of energy has went up. Could it be sanctions? Could it be that they have to be generated by fucking wind and fucking solar and shit that doesn't bastard work? But it had also said that reduced public transport and turning streetlights off were measures under consideration to save money. But the DFI has published many more details on how it would implement the street light blackout. A switch off for part of the night would not be feasible, according to the DFI document, because of new energy tariffs. The department said that external contractors would have to be employed at a cost of $1.4 million to prepare for a complete switch off. It is estimated that the earliest date of a complete switch off to be introduced would be the end of December 2023, which would allow savings in energy payments of approximately $4.5 million at the current price up until the end of March 24. The document said it would allow actual savings of $3.1 million this year after the cost of implementing the switch off is deducted. And here we have a picture of our current lack of street lighting, and yeah, you can see fucking everything there. In order to have the complete network switched off by 1st of January 24, works would need to commence in October 23 at various locations at each roads divisions and continue until all lights have been decommissioned. It continued, a complete switch off of all street lights is the only option which will allow the department to significantly reduce its energy payments during the current year. But the document also said it would have a significant drawbacks and provoke public opposition. No shit. People might actually want their fucking street lights turned on. It will also lead in an increase to a fear of crime, which may deter people from travelling or socialising after dark, with knock-on impact on commercial businesses. Road safety would be compromised, particularly for pedestrians, with an increased risk at complicated junctions. Without street lighting, pedestrians are more likely to feel unsafe and not see tripping hazards. This is true. Similarly, wheeled road users may come upon obstructions too late to avoid. However, it would be expected that drivers would make good judgment in regards to the use of their car lights. So, in other words, we're going to have people fucking driving around on full beam, blinding anybody coming the other bastard direction. The department is now consulting on the plan. So, there you go. You heard it here first. Northern Ireland's about to turn off its streetlights. What could possibly go wrong?
I genuinely don't even know what to say. That's next level retarded. And I mean, one of the things there that stood out to me was where they said it could potentially reduce, or no, one of the other things they were considering was reducing public transportation, but yet the alternative to that would be private transportation, and that's one thing that we all know is what they want to rid people of. It's the rights to private transportation. So that one flies in the face of everything we've come to believe. But more importantly, though, the section at the bottom where it said public opposition, well, no shit. Standard procedure, though, is it not? These people, irrespective of which country or which organization, they sit amongst themselves and make policy decisions and whatnot, despite the fact nobody in the public has a say, and if they do, they're ignored largely. And thirdly, but probably the most obvious out of the 3 points I've just made there, it's just to reiterate what I said previous. This is fucking retarded. What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, add in that mix that in this country, we do like a small rat.
Well,
And the streetlights have been responsible for preventing said riots. We have peace walls that people aren't supposed to be crossing at certain times of the night, and all that sort of shit. Are they going to keep those eliminated? I think not.
no, there's literally like no benefits whatsoever to a policy like this, apart from the one that they claim, energy costs, whatnot. That's their only argument for. Well, I thought you're supposed to live in a world where you weigh up the pros and the cons, and you determine your decision based on that. But there's literally a mountain of cons for a proposal such as that, and a very limited amount of positives or pros for said policy.
But what about all this free solar energy? Is that not cutting it? Is that why? Is that part of the reason why our energy plants are working so well? We'll have to turn off the fucking streetlights.
Randy Crawford did a great song, didn't she? About was it Street Lights? Street Lights.
The fucking Victorians had this sorted.
They had gas though, mate. That's illegal because it's got too much of a Greta Thunberg footprint. Sorry, carbon footprint. Yeah. Oh! Did you notice that old Saint Greta deleted a tweet that predicted the end of the world this week? 2018. Yeah, everywhere will be underwater and you'll all be suffocating to death. Yeah, that suspiciously magically got deleted this week, didn't it?
How many screen grabs are there of that tweet? The internet's forever, Greta.
Yeah, well, it works on it works in our favour as well. The old screen grab mantra. So unlucky.
Mm-hmm. Rory Herbert says they're travelling that where he lives. There are no streetlights on the village where I live, and I don't want any. He doesn't want any. Walking back from the pub late at night, however, can become a bit tricky.
I can't think of any positives for no streetlights, to be honest, but that's probably because I've always lived amongst them. But each to their own, I suppose.
Oh, I've seen streets with no streetlights.
Oh yeah, same.
Yeah.
Power cuts and stuff, but
Oh no, not power cuts. In the 70s, early 80s, at the start of a riot, the streetlights were the first things to go.
Well, all I say is, I don't know about you guys where you are, but here, they went through this. God alone knows how much. Once again, it's just all money, isn't it? It's how much contractors can get the money and pay the kickbacks to the councils and that. And they went through this whole. Christ alone knows how much money it cost. But they went through replacing old sodium lamps with these fucking low power LED units
Yep.
to save the planet. There might as well not be any fucking street lamps. I'll tell you what, they give out about as much light as fucking Aladdin's lamp. They're fucking useless.
See, I think that was planned, and I think they're getting as used to being dark, and then whenever they turn them off, we're already halfway there, because the streetlights we have around here, you can see what the streetlights are because you can see the actual light, but it's illuminating fuck all.
Yeah, like I say, you can see that they're lit. They just don't actually cast any fucking light. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You might as well not have them.
Well, yes, but now they've got everybody used to the idea that the lights don't actually make the place any lighter. Well, surely you can switch them off.
I wouldn't be surprised, mate. I wouldn't be surprised. And they would be saying like, well, why do you need to leave your house at night? Well, because I'm a free person. Oh, we don't recommend it. Why do you need to be driving your own car? Well, we don't recommend it. What do you recommend? Well, we recommend you being hammer-wurzled into this 15-minute city along with all these different cultures and fucking flotsam and jetsam from around the world that fucking hate you, because it'll all just work out nicely. Unlucky.
Yes. Well, there you go. Right. DJ Sansom, have you anything that you really want to get to tonight?
No, I'm kind of ready to call it a night, like, because I'm flogging. You know, obviously, the last like half hour I've been flogging like fuck.
Sansom?
I mean, you can carry on if you want, but I am going to have to boost.
No, I'm all right, mate. Yeah. I'm happy to call it a day and everything, yeah.
Right. I am going to pull up a outro track. I have not got one planned. Well,
all right, sure.
Right, hold on, I'm going to find it now. But whenever I say I didn't have it planned, I didn't have it. I didn't have it. The link ready. This is another one by Justice Kane, who I have been showcasing the last couple of weeks, and this is called Big White Triangle. And anybody wants some based music, this guy seems quite good. And get this percentage. Here we go.
They say that seeing is believing. What else can you do? And if my eyes don't deceive me, then the truth I'm telling you, it was a warm summer's evening in the month of June. We were out in the backyard, messing around, playing some old tune. Up in the moonlit sky, something out of the ordinary caught his eye. You were so profound, made no sound. Wasn't a flying saucer, wasn't an arrow white triangle. It was a very close encounter, first of its kind. Unidentified flying object messing with my mind. Glided across the rooftops, as quiet as a cloud, like something out of a sci-fi movie. The truth I finally been allowed. I just happened to be in the right place, fortunately at the right time. You should have seen the look of shock on Chris's face. Sheer delight of mine. Big white triangle, big white triangle. We are not alone. No, we are not alone. It was a big white triangle over Chris's heart.
You see what I'm seeing?
Are you seeing what I see? Wasn't a flying saucer, no sir. Wasn't a little plane. I just happened to be in the right place. I'll never feel the same again. Big white triangle, big white triangle, big white triangle, a big white triangle. We are not alone. You see what I see? No, we are not alone. It was a big white triangle over Chris's house that night. Wasn't a flying saucer, no sir. Wasn't an aeroplane, a meteor or a satellite. Yeah, maybe I might be insane. Big white triangle, big white triangle, big white triangle.
Okay, everybody. Samson's been Samson, DJ's been DJ. I have always has been 42, and you lot in the chat have, as always, been fucking amazing. Thank you. Good night. God bless. See you all in 2 weeks' time. No show next week. I'm on holiday. All the best. Bye.